Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Water Cooler Quarterback, where we act like we know things about football. My name is Andrew, and as we sit here today, we are officially halfway through the regular season. So I thought it would be a lot of fun to look back at a few of the predictions I made heading into the season to see if any of them hold true. And while some of my predictions are holding up pretty well, some of them I could not have been more wrong about. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's take a look at how my predictions are doing halfway through the season. Starting off with the NFC West, I had originally picked the San Francisco 49ers to win this division. And for a while there, I was pretty content with that. I was pretty confident that I was going to be right. But, the last couple of weeks have concerned me. The Niners were undefeated and then gave up 3 straight games heading into their bye week, giving up the lead to the Seattle Seahawks. But thankfully, because the Seahawks lost to the Ravens, both teams are square at 5-3. So the back half of the season is going to determine who wins the West. In the AFC West, I picked the Chargers to win. And that ain't happening. Look, I picked the Chargers because I thought maybe this was the year they put it all together. And I should have known better because we've been saying that for the past half decade. Full disclosure, I'm recording this before their Monday night game against the Jets, so maybe they improve to 500. But the Chiefs are currently 7-2, and I don't think they're giving up the division. Moving up north in the NFC, I had the Lions winning the division, and like the Niners, I was pretty confident in that for a while. But you take a look at the standings, the Vikings are 5-4, 1 game behind Detroit, and I cannot express to you enough just how wild that is. This team looked dead in the water in the first month and a half of the season, and now to be 1 game back from the division lead is remarkable. They are without Kirk Cousins, so it's going to be an uphill battle, but I don't know. Detroit, you better keep playing well. In the AFC North, I had the Bengals winning the division with the Ravens in a close second. And if the Bengals had started the year the way they're playing right now, I would be locked and loaded on that pick. However, because they started so poorly, they started in quite a hole, leaving the Ravens in first place. Both of these teams are clearly the best in the AFC North, and I think it's going to be super fun to watch how this division shakes out by the end. Will the Bengals be able to catch up to the Ravens? I think it's possible, but I think Baltimore may just cling to that lead and never let it go. Heading down south in the NFC, I had the Falcons winning the division over the Saints, Buccaneers, and Panthers. This division, heading into the year, was completely up for grabs, and honestly was kind of a crapshoot as to who was going to win it. But the Falcons are now 1 game behind the Saints, a team that is starting to put things together and gel with their new quarterback, Derek Carr. Meanwhile, the Falcons are making a quarterback change halfway through the season. Never really a good sign. And can I just say real quick that the Falcons are kind of starting to piss me off? Well, okay, I should rephrase that. Not the Falcons themselves, mostly just head coach Arthur Smith. Your 8th pick in the draft, Bijan Robinson, your 4th pick in the draft, Kyle Pitts from a few years back, are both being severely underutilized. You're on the goal line and you try multiple plays to your backup tight end, Jonnu Smith. You don't even think about giving it to Bijan. What are we doing? And then you hide behind this scapegoat, I don't like fantasy football, I don't care about your fantasy team thing, as if that's what we're talking about. Bro, you have a losing record. You are losing games. You are not winning your division because you're not using your star players. Quit hiding behind, I'm not trying to get you fantasy points as your excuse. Make the right decisions as a head coach. Bijan is currently getting an extra 2 yards per carry over Tyler Algier, but I guess we just shouldn't give it to him for whatever reason. Just don't. Nope. Why not? Just don't give it to him. And the reason I'm so frustrated about it is because Atlanta keeps drafting guys that I like and I want to root for and then just turning them into nothing. I was really excited for Kyle Pitts when he was in the draft. I couldn't wait to see the type of production he had. There were comparisons to Shannon Sharp. Where has he been? They're not using him. Bijan, same deal. Atlanta is the place where super high draft picks of really fun players go to die. Anyway, now that I'm all worked up, let's talk about the AFC South. This one is pretty straightforward. I picked the Jaguars to win it, and they're currently dominating. They're in first place by multiple games. But something I do want to point out is that heading into the year, I said be on the lookout for the Texans to surprise some folks. And look at them now, sitting in second place in the division, right where I predicted them to be. I also said Tennessee was probably going to struggle with some of their main offensive guys getting a little older, and what do you know? Tannehill has already lost the starting job. So I'm not trying to say I told you so, but I'm kind of killing it here with my AFC South predictions. As for the NFC East, I promise I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but Eagles are currently winning it, Cowboys are in second, Commanders are doing all right in third, and the Giants are looking god-awful, regressing from last year. So pretty much nailed that one too. But of course, everything I get right in the NFC East just means I'm getting something wrong in the AFC East, because I did pick the Jets to win this division. And hey, for 4 snaps of New York season, I still could have been... Aaron Rodgers getting hurt really kind of sunk this prediction, didn't it? So I'm taking a big ol' L when it comes to the AFC East because I was pretty far off. And now let's go ahead and take a look at a few of the teams that I still had making the playoffs via the wildcard spots. Out of the NFC, I had the Cowboys, Seahawks, and Bears. Now, to say that one of these things is not like the other is a bit of an understatement. I am still pretty confident that the Cowboys and the Seahawks will be making the playoffs, but unless something drastic happens when Justin Fields comes back for the Bears, I cannot imagine Chicago making the postseason. And based on how things are going right now, I'd probably have to give that last playoff spot to the Minnesota Vikings. And as a Cardinals fan, I will happily root for you, Minnesota. Please, take care of Josh Dobbs for us. Then the wild cards out of the AFC, I had the Bills, Chiefs, and Dolphins. And while I do think that all 3 will likely make the playoffs, at least 2 of them are going to win their division outright. So let's put the Chiefs where I originally had the Chargers, and let's say the Dolphins win the AFC East. So that still leaves 2 open wildcard spots, assuming the Bills get their stuff together and actually make the postseason. So who's going to fill up those 2 spots? Well, originally, I didn't have the Ravens making the playoffs. And even when I was recording that, I was like, I kind of feel like maybe they will. So I am going to go ahead and say the Ravens do make the postseason. They are playing way too good to not make the playoffs. And then that last spot, it is a tough call. I'm not really sure who's going to make it, but I don't think it's anybody from the AFC West. AFC South, probably not. Maybe the Texans sneak in there, but I think that the final wildcard spot is going to belong to the Cleveland Browns. That defense is so good. I think they can make their way into that last playoff spot. As for the awards given out at the end of the season, I originally had Bijan Robinson and Christian Gonzalez winning Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year, respectively. Unfortunately, Gonzalez got hurt, so my pick probably isn't going to be correct there, but he was playing really, really well before that injury. And then, as we super calmly talked about earlier in the video, Bijan Robinson is not being used right in that Falcons offense, so at this rate, I do not see him winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. I will, however, issue a few new picks for whatever it's worth. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go ahead and say is CJ Stroud, and I don't think many people would disagree with me at this point. Just this past week, Stroud threw for 470 yards. That's more than any rookie quarterback has ever had in a single game. On top of that, he had 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. And with only 46 seconds left on the clock, needing a touchdown to win, he leads his team all the way down the field, throwing a strike into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown, sealing the victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Texans have found their guy at the quarterback position, and in my book, there is no conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year. It is CJ Stroud and nobody else. Then on defense, rookie corner Devin Witherspoon for the Seattle Seahawks has been playing out of his mind. There are some other guys that have been playing well, but in my opinion, Devin Witherspoon is playing well enough to get Defensive Rookie of the Year. For Offensive Player of the Year, I originally had Justin Jefferson, but with his injury, he is falling behind guys like Tyreek Hill and A.J. Brown. And for Defensive Player of the Year, I originally had Micah Parsons, but Myles Garrett over in Cleveland looks like a man among boys, and Max Crosby is making his presence known in Las Vegas. Comeback Player of the Year likely still belongs to Damar Hamlin, just given the gravity of the situation he was involved in, but some other guys to look at are probably Tua, who himself had some health scares last year and has been really good this season, and maybe even Kyler Murray. If he comes back from this ACL tear and looks really, really good in this Cardinals offense, he might also be a candidate for Comeback Player of the Year. For Coach of the Year, I've still got Dan Campbell, but Mike McDaniel in Miami still deserves a nod. And as for MVP, well, it is a quarterback-driven award, but none of them are really sticking out to me right now, so if one of those receivers, A.J. Brown or Tyreek Hill, does hit the 2,000-yard mark for the first time in NFL history, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the first wide receiver MVP. And finally, my Super Bowl pick. Now, originally, I had the Eagles beating the Jets, which whatever, right? I do still have the Eagles making it, as they appear to be the best team in the NFC. But as for the AFC, well, I think the Super Bowl could be a battle of the birds, because the Baltimore Ravens are looking absolutely phenomenal and could be the best team coming out of the AFC. The Bills are currently out of the playoff picture. The Chiefs lack offensive weapons out of just Mahomes and Kelsey. And while the Bengals are really good and will probably put up the best fight against the Ravens, I've just got a good feeling about this Baltimore team. They are beating the brakes off of people. They held the Lions and the Seahawks to a total of 9 points. Meanwhile, they scored 75 in those 2 games. So I would not be shocked if the Ravens make a deep playoff run or even a push at the Super Bowl this year. And that's going to do it for me, folks. Clearly, my predictions are kind of all over the place. Some of them really good, some of them really bad. But we've still got half a season waiting for us. So let's see how they pan out by the end of the year. Until then, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Andrew, this is Water Cooler Quarterback, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.